here of what John's shop is all about. Trying to keep this bike going.
You about ready?
Yeah.
Well, say hello. We've been live.
Just for half a minute. Johnny Cage says hi.
Show them you're working on your
That bike's been the pain in my existence, like I said. It's
Well, actually,
something to see.
you've got a couple of really nice ones over here. You've got a couple of them for sale, too.
These ones are all for sale, yep. The Harleys are tough to move right now in this market up here, but the quads and side-by-sides, definitely they sell within about 2 days.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
those are the hot ticket items. So that's just the Harley market, though. It goes
Sherry.
in waves.
Sherry.
Right now it's on a decline.
So you got a pretty successful shop here, it looks like.
We've been here for 6 months, and so far so good. Just been throwing every penny back into it, and it's come a long way.
Well, you've done really well here, and we don't want to see it disappear while you're gone.
That's man upstairs sent me Steve. Steve is a big blessing.
Say hi, Steve.
Peek up here.
Oh!
Hey.
News. Yeah, so Steve. He's an amazing mechanic and technician.
Hello, everyone. This is Sherry DeValley with the Readout News, and we're here with Jon Ritzheimer. We're down here in Peoria, Arizona. And this is the first time I've been here. I love the saguaro cacti. Did I get that right?
Saguaro, yep.
Yep. Actually, cacti was the one I've been working on all day long.
They're new to me too. I'm a Cali boy originally, a
Are you?
California boy, but had to get out of that.
What part of Cali?
I was born and raised in East County Lakeside, which is East County, San Diego.
Okay. You can scoot up if you need to if the volume
Okay.
is any issue.
Yeah.
We've got Miss Wendy back there holding the camera for us. Hi, Wendy.
Hi, Sherry. Hi, John.
Hi.
Good to be here with you.
I'm assuming we have a few people in the room now,
We have a few people in the room.
and everybody can see and hear us very well.
Can you hear us, David? Rosa? Give us a thumbs up, please.
I have to check my sound on this because my phone has acted up all week long on these live streams, and I think Facebook is just trying to send me a message of we're a little too popular.
The other day when Cliven was given his that's gonna have to do with that, working on the sound.
Other than that, they say they can hear just fine.
Okay, awesome. John is reporting tomorrow to Safford. It's going to be at noon. We're going to be there. And anybody else that can make it, it would be appreciated if they would make it. We understand that not everybody can. That's why we're going to be there to live stream it out for you.
What is the name of the facility?
Safford.
Safford.
Is it just Safford?
Safford Federal Prison.
Safford Federal Prison, okay.
But it's quite a haul, so I understand too if nobody can make it all the way out there. It's a bit of a haul out to. It's right on the border of Arizona and New Mexico.
Okay.
And this is all related to your time with the Mallard protest.
Yes, or the restoration.
The restoration.
Yes.
I've called it a protest all this time, but restoration is a more accurate word.
It's potato. Right?
Okay, well, tell us why that's so important.
Well, I still believe it's a restoration in progress. That's what we've called it from the beginning. And I remember how adamant Lavoie and Ammon and everybody was about this land needs to go back to the people. And that's all we were intending to do is get the land back to the rightful owners. It was a Harney County Resource Center. We weren't there to harm anybody, threaten anybody, infringe on anything, so it was just about putting the land back to the rightful owners. for beneficial use, public land.
Do you want to talk about your plea agreement?
Yeah.
I'm going to stand over here so you can face the camera a little bit.
Okay. Well, no problem. Well, initially I was facing like over 30 years. We had that 924C charge, and thankfully that ended up getting dropped. But you know, the plea, it was a weird thing. It was we had to come up with, you can't just go into court and lie. So we had to come up with a legal theory, okay? And so it was told to me that, okay, you want to plea out, you want to end the nightmare, you don't want to risk 30 years. And so we had to come up with a theory of how I can be guilty. And so my attorney said that she thought that the very fact of me being there, the very presence of me being there, could be construed as force. And so that's what we did. It was conspiracy to impede by use of force, threats, or intimidation. And I recall the prosecution quite a few times trying to say "and" intimidation. They were, and there's a big play on words there. There's a huge difference between "and" and "or." The "and" would encompass all of that, but then there was the "or." And I believe it was Ryan Payne, when he initially pled out, he clarified with that with them, that it's "or." And so that's how I was able to plea out. And you know, I did receive a bit of criticism in the beginning, and I just want to remind people, you know, why did we plea out? Why would I? Well, the entire endeavor, the entire event, it started from our lack of faith in the judicial system. With the Hammonds, you know, we have good salt of the earth people that they're being convicted and tried as terrorists, and they're clearly not terrorists. And so we just have no faith in the judicial system whatsoever. Obviously, the Bundys and Shauna Cox and Wampler and these people, they had the courage to go to trial, and God bless them for it. And they were all acquitted. The truth actually did set them free. Mm-hmm. And so then I tried to withdraw my plea, and the judge tells me it's just a clear case of buyer's remorse. And I said, no argument here. You got that right. So that's how the plea came about, you know, and why I went down that path. I genuinely believe that everybody involved in this whole event, you know, Ammon Bundy said that sunlight is the best disinfectant, right? And we're all about transparency. And I believe everybody involved, we've all gone like our different ways through this entire judicial system. Those that pled out, those that went to trial and were found guilty, those that went to trial and were found not guilty. And so we're all weaving our way through this big, messy judicial system that we have. But all of us have this beam of light on us, okay? And we're bringing about more transparency to other areas that need addressing. And so, you know, whether that's the man upstairs that set us out on this path, and I do believe that is the path he sent us out on, we're playing these different roles, and we're exposing a lot and learning a lot about the judicial system. And so we may not see the goodness that's coming from it right now, and it does hurt, and it's painful to the families, but it's a necessary evil to take place in order for us to actually bring about change.
Well, God does have a plan for everybody, and everybody will react differently to his message. But it is his message.
Mm-hmm. And he intended for us to be free people.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
The Constitution itself, you know, it's a divine document. So it's outlined very clearly, and we don't have to reinvent the wheel, so to speak. We get the opportunity to stand on the shoulders of giants, and as long as we just stick to this and follow this, we'll be all right.
Yeah. You have a list of things you'd like to discuss. I'm going to just kind of let you go with that.
Well, I wanted to talk a little. The other night I was watching an interview with Ryan Bundy, and I love how he just reads through the Constitution and he starts reading amendments like nice and slowly. And when we slow these things down, we're able to see and hear and comprehend the message a bit more. And the Sixth Amendment he talked about, and he was talking about the right of the accused shall enjoy a speedy trial. And so in the very beginning of the whole Malheur occupation trial, the Malheur restoration trial, the judge declared our trial as a complex case. And so they were able to completely throw out our Sixth Amendment. And I had no clue about all this until I got wound up in the judicial system. So, the right of the accused shall enjoy a speedy trial. And they asked Ryan Bundy when would you consider it a speedy trial? And he said that next day. He's got things to do. So
Yeah.
and I'm right there with him. I agree 100%. And aside from that, the other thing that I really want to continue to try to push is knowing our rights and people understanding what a natural right is. You can't lose them. These are God-given rights. So the government didn't give us these rights. We elected a government to come in to protect us, help us protect our rights, and now they're the very ones that are infringing on them. But Lavoie had a great way of connecting with city people as well, and being able to put that message out so that we would be able to understand and comprehend what he was talking about. And so they go into the claim, use, defend, okay? And the example Lavoie gave was going to the movies, something that we can all relate to, going to the movies. So you're the first one at that movie theater, and you're standing there in line. You've claimed your right to that first spot in line. Naturally, people are going to come up and they're going to be civil and they're going to be lining up right behind you. Okay? So as long as you're standing there, you're using your right. And that's what you need to do, is you need to claim it, you need to use it. And the next step is to defend. So while you're standing in line, say a bully comes up and says, well, I'm not going to wait in this big line. I'm going to take cuts in front of you. And so that's when you're going to need to make the decision, are you willing to defend your rights? And it would behoove you to turn to your neighbor, who we've all been given instructions, love your neighbor as yourself, and stand and defend with your neighbor. So turn to them and let them know, hey, if this guy cuts me, he's also cutting you, and he's infringing on your right. So they should stand with you and help you protect and defend your right. Because if they don't, that bully is just going to be infringing on all of the rights, all the way down the line. So that's another message that I just really want to keep alive. I really enjoyed it. There's a great video out there of Lavoie telling pretty much that same thing. And I appreciate them, and it's really unfortunate that someone like Lavoie had to die before his message really came alive.
Yep.
So
Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about your family and how they're doing. You've got 2 little girls, you've got a lovely wife, and they're going to be without you for a while. Do the girls understand?
No, I'm kind of just telling them, they're 5 and 7, and I'm just telling them, Daddy's got to go to work, and whether it's God's work, whatever the work is, they just know Daddy's got to go work for a while. They always tell me, like, are you going to Oregon again? Because I was gone up in Oregon for quite some time when I did go up there, and then the whole arrest was a couple more months behind bars, so they were like, you were gone way too long.
So they remember that.
Oh, they do, and it broke my oldest one up. It was rough on her. when I was getting arrested that night. And
They didn't do that in front of the kids, did they?
no, they gave me 1 hour to turn myself in, and I was thankful for that.
That was a blessing.
Yeah, and it didn't fit with their narrative. Once I turned myself in, all the other people that were arrested after me, they were all SWAT. It was SWAT brought down upon them. Because me turning myself in peacefully did not fit their narrative of this crazy Marine who's going to go down blazing. And we were able to combat that.
I know Rachel's around here somewhere. She'll come out here.
She's in the pizza joint next door with the girls, and yeah, she'll probably come over in a little bit. She's handling it well, as well as she can. It's rough, and
People want you to explain your the time you were given and what you've served already and how that's going to play out now.
well, we're praying that with good time and everything that it should be about 2 to 3 months. That's what we're praying for. I know better than to get my hopes up with this government, but I've been a model citizen through this entire thing. They've got me labeled as a terrorist. I'm not a terrorist. I know I'm not. And even the guards knew I was not a terrorist. They were just doing their job. So I was sentenced to 1 year and a day. That does a few things. Why the day? A lot of people want to know why the day. So that automatically, like that makes you a felon. The law says anything over a year. But it also qualifies me for good time. The law says you need to be sentenced to over a year. So she gave me 1 year and a day. That was, I guess, her way of being lenient. So with good time in the feds, it's 85%. You have to serve 85% of your sentence, which would now drop it down to 10 months. And then from there, I've got 2 months already in, where I was arrested, and I was arrested here in Arizona. I was extradited up there to Oregon, and before I was released. So that now drops us down to 8 months right there. And a lot of people tell me that the last 6 months could be done in a halfway house. So that's what I'm praying for, is to be able to get put in a halfway house nearby, and I can get back to work, get back into my shop, provide for my family, because I am the sole provider for my family, and this is going to be extremely rough financially for us. But we do have a very supportive family, and of course all of our friends and family on
I think they are gearing up for a fundraiser with Cynthia Prim and her group. I've forgotten the name. Somebody.
Americans Standing for Liberty.
There you go, Americans Standing for Liberty. I apologize for that. But they're gearing up for a fundraiser. I think we can probably maybe get a couple other people doing some fundraising as well. Rachel's going to need some help paying the bills while John is gone. The shop is only 6 months old. They're doing very well, but it's only 6 months old. It's very hard to turn a profit, in the first year alone.
and
If anybody needs a good bike, there's a couple of really nice ones over here for sale. There really is. I'd love, Brett, take a look at these, okay? These would do really well. They've got the little scooter over there. They've got the Harley over here. You and I could actually have a lot of fun on that, so think about it.
Patriot Mail Project keeps
Patriot Mail
addresses.
Project. Yeah, that's going to be a big important point. Also, we need some money put on his commissary. We want him ready to go.
I've had a lot of people already contribute today to that.
Great.
Rachel put a call out, and as usual, the people.
Well, we're a
don't answer.
community, and we're here to help.
Yeah, I can't thank everybody enough, and
You were there for us. We want to be there for you. Okay,
Appreciate it.
you were there for us, because it wasn't just for the Hammonds. It was for everybody in this country, and that's what I want everybody to understand. Everything that all of y'all have done has not been for any one person or any two people.
Mm-hmm.
It's been for everybody, and the ones who don't understand that are the ones that we need to sit down with and explain it to them.
Teach.
So, yeah, that Patriot Mail is amazing. I loved getting letters. I got swamped with letters when I was in, and it really helped the time go by. Even fellow inmates loved coming over and just reading the letters. And one of the best letters that I received from Erin Maupin, the Maupin family, her and her husband Jeff, just amazing people, salt of the earth and generous people. And I received a letter that her kids were going to school and they were wearing a Constitution in their front pocket and they were debating with other kids. And that right there alone just totally made everything worth it. Because these kids are in middle school, high school, and they're doing something that I never did, that I wish I did.
Yes.
And that's what we need to do is have these kids reading the Constitution and debating.
Dozens of hearts popped up on that one.
It made it all worth it. It's a hope for the future, you know.
And Patriot Mail Project keeps your commissary link and your addresses in there, so people can go to Patriot Mail Project on Facebook. And there comes the lovely wife and the one daughter. This is the baby girl.
Say hi.
And there's Madison.
Say hi.
Pretty girls.
He's watching your video.
He is.
Mama's watching your video while we're at pizza.
Rachel, don't you come on down here and we'll get a nice family shot.
We're cutting your head off, Rachel. There we go.
Scoot on in.
Scooting close. There we go.
This is Madison, our oldest. And how old are you, Maddie?
7.
7. Did you lose your front? You lost one front tooth already, and now you got another. You look like a hillbilly now, huh? Got that other one.
Now,
No
no
offense.
disparaging
Getting
us
ready to lose.
hillbillies, okay?
And then this is Lily. How old are you, Lily?
5.
5.
You got a wiggle tooth too, huh?
Wiggly tooth too. You're losing teeth.
Yeah, she wants to pull it out on camera.
She does. I'm pretty sure she pulled out her other bottom one at school just
my
to say
goodness.
that she pulled out her first front tooth.
I got $10.
Whoa, that's
Wow.
good.
For your first one, right?
What a beautiful
Isn't always
family.
that generous.
Thank you.
You guys know Daddy's got to go to work for a while, huh? You're gonna be strong for Mom?
Yeah, he has to go to 60 days for work.
Well, that's,
Yeah.
no, for 60 days for work.
Some dads
Yeah.
have to do that.
Y'all have a calendar to mark down?
Mark off the
We
days.
actually
We got a
do. We
Patriot
have
calendar.
a Patriot calendar we will be using. Thank you for that extra one, whoever was donated to us. So
Awesome.
we will be marking off that.
I dumped it out.
Well, we're gonna let you guys get back, and we're just gonna step outside.
Well, thank you for coming over.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you,
Everybody wanted to
girls.
see your beautiful smile.
Tomorrow might be a different story when you guys meet us there. I might be all tears. So
And that's
Oh,
to be
I'll make sure and get
expected.
all that on camera, don't worry.
yeah, I'm gonna warn all you. I turn bright red. So
Watch what kind of mascara you wear.
you know, I don't normally wear makeup. So
Probably a good thing tomorrow.
Okay. You got more questions?
People got questions on there? Yeah.
Let's see.
Happy to answer.
Yeah, let's have some questions from the chat room
All
here.
charges should be dropped. How could the judge not see these are good men? God bless you and your family. Much love to the Ritzheimer family. If there's anything we can ever do to help, please don't hesitate to ask. So your wife needs to keep on top of that, you know, on her own page, let Sherry know, Patriot Mail Project.
Yeah, the other big thing is I have the only 2 firearms that made it out of the refuge, as you know.
That's
Oh,
right, we need
yes.
to talk about that.
Well, and I can't say that I have, but my wife has the only 2 firearms that came out of the refuge because I'm currently agreeing not to utilize my amendment that's outlined in the second portion.
You have lost
So-
your Second Amendment rights through this.
Yeah,
deal.
is
Is that right?
Well, I tell people, and a lot of people, they say that, like, oh, you lost your rights, you lost your Second Amendment. I just look at it that I'm agreeing to not utilize it right now because, again, it's a right. I'm just agreeing to not use it right now.
Mm-hmm.
So at any point in time, I can claim, use, and defend that right. And surely it would end ugly because you're going to have a lot of, you know.
Well, you're not an unlawful man. That's the point. You are a lawful man.
Mhm.
And the law is telling you you cannot utilize your Second Amendment at this point, and you're being lawful by agreeing to that, correct?
Yes, but I have. So this is where again I'm looking at why did God put us in these positions? Okay, so I can become a huge advocate actually for people to have their rights back. Nowhere in here does it say that once you're a felon, you lose your rights. The founders used very simple words. It was written at the 8th grade reading level so we can read it and understand it, and the power would be with us. And they used simple words like shall and shall not. And the Second Amendment very clearly says shall not be infringed. It does not say that once you've made a mistake over the age of 18, then you can lose that right. And these rights were codified in that Bill of Rights. So that's probably where I would become an advocate in the future is people do make mistakes. And while I was behind bars, I met a lot of good people. A lot of people that were also facing mandatory minimums. That's another thing that we really should keep on the forefront for judicial reform is getting rid of these mandatory minimums. Where do they come from? Well, we have the private prison industrial complex now, right? So
Right.
Eisenhower warned us of the military industrial complex, and now we have the private prison industrial complex and these for-profit prisons. Well, I'm a guaranteed paycheck to them for a year and a day now, right? And a mandatory minimum, Dwight and Stephen Hammond were a guaranteed paycheck for 5 years with that charge.
That's true.
So
Good point.
these private prisons send in lobbyists to wine and dine our elected officials who are supposed to be representing us, but they're not looking out for our best interests. Their loyalty is to these lobbyists that are wining and dining them and giving them buku bucks. Mm-hmm. And then they come up with a law that has a mandatory minimum tied to it, and it allows these politicians to then come out and give the appearance that they're cracking down on crime, the war on drugs, right? Or anything like that. They're giving this illusion that they're cracking down on crime, but in reality, they're stripping us of our rights, and it's costing more tax dollars. So I don't think that I'm losing myself. I'm just agreeing to not use it right now.
Now, as a disabled vet, are you losing any benefits from that?
That's what's going to be difficult on my family. I am a service-connected disability and disabled combat vet, and you're not allowed to collect while you're incarcerated.
See, I don't understand that one at all. I mean, I understand, I don't necessarily agree with, but I do understand a lot of things. I don't understand that one when it's connected to a disability. You know, that one just kind of confuses me. Did anybody ever sit you down to explain this to you? Or they just say,
They just tell you
we can, so we will.
Your SOL. Yeah, it's
Okay.
and they do have yeah, it's just a messed up situation. So that's
Well, it's a tough one. It really is.
Mhm.
Now, if I understood right, they're not going to cut her off tomorrow, but it's going to be very soon.
right.
Okay. Well, we need to get on it, folks. We need to get on those fundraisers and get these little girls taken care of and get Rachel taken care of so that John has a home to come home to.
Mm-hmm.
So we will get on to that. Are there questions, Wendy?
We have your 6, John. God
Appreciate
bless you.
Back to the 2 firearms that
Yes.
got out of the refuge. So, as many people know, I left 2 days prior to the ambush and the assassination of Lavoie and everything. I came home, visited my family. A lot of people were like, "Why did you leave?" To touch on that a little bit, I was up there the entire time. I was up there before Christmas. I didn't spend Christmas with my family, and some of the other guys were able to go home and see their families during that time that we were restoring the land to the people. And I remember asking Ryan Bundy and Ryan Payne and them and seeking their blessing, and Lavoie, and they all said absolutely, go ahead and go home. And I let them know that if this was still going on, whether it was a week or 2 weeks or a month, I definitely would come back up. And so I left, and there was only a handful of people that knew that I left. It was Ryan Payne, Ryan Bundy. I believe I said goodbye to Jason Patrick as well, and Lavoie. Ammon wasn't there at the moment, and so as I was leaving the refuge, I also crossed paths with Mark McConnell. And I saw in my rearview mirror, he turned around, so I pulled over, and he came over, and we talked, and I told him, I'm going home, back home to my family. I tried to be as discreet as possible, well, where I was going, laying under the radar, if you will. And but that's how they knew where I was when they called me up here. So I was able to get out, and we do have the only two firearms. I believe that they will have a value to them, not because of me. It's because of the overall what they were used in, and this is going to.
Well, it was an historical event,
very much,
and it will go down in the history books.
Yep.
Just
the
like
founders,
Bunkerville will go down in the history books.
Bunkerville, absolutely. There hasn't been like an act of civil defiance to that level. I don't think since back in like the Boston Tea Party, personally.
I would probably agree with you. I'd have to.
The founders did not shoot anybody. There was no deaths or anything, but they went and they had to send a message. Sometimes that the government just has their earplugs in and they're not listening to we the people. And they had
Unless
to
you
do
count
that.
the bonus army, that could be.
I remember the bonus army too,
Yeah.
yes. And that was atrocious what happened to them, what they did to our vets. So we all that stuff needs to be remembered and needs to be taught.
Yeah.
Jeanette Finicum sends her love.
I love you, Jeanette. God bless you and your family.
And I've got a hug for you from her.
She is something else, just one of the strongest women. We had the pleasure of going there and visiting with them on Easter, and it was so fulfilling. And then also recently, as many people know, getting to go to the Bundy Ranch was very fulfilling, because I was not there for the 2014 standoff then.
Do you want to explain to everybody about this trip to the Bundy Ranch and why you're going back early?
Yes, so there was no restriction as far as contact between me and co-defendants. That was lifted.
I do have that document posted on Readout News, so you can read it yourself.
Judge Jones lifted it, I believe, September 20th, when we raised arguments of how ridiculous it was, because they also told us we weren't allowed to have contact with militia. And I told my attorney I violated that within being 10 minutes of being released, because the kid that I went and ordered a McDonald's hamburger from surely was between the ages of 18 and 45 and was an able body. And so they finally were able to combat that, and the restriction got lifted. So me and my wife, we were celebrating our 10-year anniversary, and we had gotten permission to go up there to Vegas. I remember my pretrial officer telling me initially that she was like, well, trying to tell me that I couldn't have contact. So I sent her the document, just letting her know that no, that was lifted. I am actually allowed to have contact and see these guys. But that was not our intent. Our intent was to go up there and have a good time. We were just blessed and fortunate enough that I was able to get with Ryan Payne and Ariel, his fiancée, and have just an amazing weekend with them. It made our anniversary so awesome. Ryan Payne, we went to a Messianic Jew service, and people that don't know what that is, those are Jews that believe in Jesus Christ, and just it was an amazing service with John Lamb. So
I heard y'all did go-karts too.
we did go-karts, the fastest ones in Las Vegas. It was, we toured the Bass Pro Shop, I think it was, and had a good time in there. So we had a great weekend. And then as the day started to wind down, it was brought up like, hey, Carol Bundy's out at the ranch. Why don't we just go say hi to her? And I hadn't met Carol yet. So we drove out to the ranch. Again, we had permission to be up there. We were still in Clark County. We didn't, we were an hour's drive away. We went out there. I spent 2 hours with them. Just, there is something divine about that ranch as well, and these people, and ever since I left the refuge, I've craved this spiritual connection that all of those people have. And when they're all together and the spirit's so thick you can cut it with a knife. And to see all of their grandkids running around. And Carol Bundy has 63 grandkids with 2 more on the way. I mean, very fruitful people. But the love that these people have is second to none. And it was the best time ever. I have no regrets. It's very unfortunate that how vindictive it's become and what's happening. I was not ready, and I'm not entirely ready yet. But I've got good people. I got Steve, who's helping me in my shop, and we're going to get through on this.
So follow through. What did happen
Well,
from the Bundy Ranch thing?
We just went up there and visited for a couple of hours. We didn't.
And somebody took a picture.
We took pictures. Again, we had nothing to hide. We didn't think anything was going on wrong. Ryan Payne had a GPS monitor on. They never called us once. Like once we were in there, he was on a curfew. The curfew doesn't say so that he can go from point A to point B in this time. You're allowed outside from this time frame. So, and as many people know, it's not great what's happening to Ryan Payne either. It's not fair.
No, it's not.
Not fair at all. And she reinstated this no contact order.
But it didn't get reinstated until after the visit.
Ex post facto, right? It's
Right.
The picture's on Facebook.
The picture's on Facebook. They're so afraid of my voice, I'm not allowed to be posting on Facebook. And that all came about when the informant, Mark McConnell, came and actually tried to fight me at a restaurant.
You want to talk about that incident?
Well, he came and tried to fight me. I wanted no part of it. I remember telling him, I know the truth, and I forgive you. Mm-hmm. I had to forgive him. Like, I had to get that anger out of me. It was eating me up. And there's still probably a little bit boiling up inside of me. Mm-hmm. But I remember telling him, I forgive you. And I'm his payday. He's coming at me because I'm his payday from the feds. How can I get Jon Ritzheimer in trouble? What can I inform on this guy? So he showed up there, tried to start this fight, and I wouldn't give it to him. He was also armed, and his girlfriend was armed. And so I went and filed an injunction against harassment, and it went to, we had a court hearing, and he showed up with a bunch of people that were supporting him. The Arizona Patriot community, if you will, was torn, because while we were all arrested and locked up, this guy immediately, within hours of LaVoy being killed, was immediately taking to social media and putting out a false narrative that we were in the wrong, and so he created this division within. So there was a group of people there that came to the court hearing and that were supporting him, and but the judge ended up having to throw it out, because it's not that it didn't happen, it's that it was only one event. And so in order for harassment to be brought forth, or for it to be considered harassment, she needed more than one event. So she said, this is documented, but I can't follow through with the injunction against harassment. But immediately, all of his supporters go out there and they're saying, "Oh, Jon got whooped up in court and everything," and they're just pushing out this garbage. That Lewis Arthur guy and all them, just total garbage that they're pushing out, and it's not what happened. So, in the meantime, I'm just trying to keep my distance. Obviously, it was a real eye opener. This entire case was an eye opener, and we need to connect the dots from Nevada to Oregon as well. Mm-hmm. We know there's prosecutorial misconduct that took place. We know the things that were suppressed and not allowed in. We filed motions for the FBI buildup, what was going on, what was all. So right now, anybody that's out there that's able to help us connect these dots from Nevada to Oregon, because there was federal informants with us before we took the refuge. Mm-hmm. There was federal informants embedded in there that were following with us. I mean, it's borderline entrapment. This is.
Do you think there are Brady violations involved in that case up there? Those
believe,
that would
yes.
be. Did they intentionally withhold important information?
I absolutely believe that they did, and I believe that there was obvious collusion between the judge and the prosecution, because I'm the one, through my attorney, we filed motions to get that information. We wanted to know, what was the FBI buildup? Where's the reports from prior to this? What led to this? What were they being fed? How many agents did they have out there? How many snipers did they have on us the whole time? We heard the drones buzzing us every night. We needed that information, and they wouldn't give it.
Right.
That's exactly what just let all the Bundys out. The fact that they had snipers on them prior to. We had informants that are, that could be looked at as a Fourth Amendment violation. You're sending in a government informant, and I have the right to be secure in my person.
So you need a
my
good
facts.
constitutional attorney to work on this.
Well, yeah, I do. It seems like the constitutional attorneys, though, are being ignored and gaffed off.
There's not a lot of them. I've been told by I don't know how many attorneys now that it is not, the Constitution is not required reading in law school.
Right.
They work on case law. They don't work on the Constitution. No, most people have never read it, and that includes judges and attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
There's the problem.
Judges, attorneys,
People swear an oath to something they have no clue what it says.
and I was guilty as charged. I went and I joined the Marine Corps. I was sent off to an illegal war. I was the same. I didn't read the Constitution. You swear an oath to uphold and defend this thing against all enemies, foreign and domestic. But then we never read it again. We never speak about it again. And I guarantee you 90%, at least, if not more, of our current military today and police force out there, they don't read. They swear an oath to this thing, but they don't uphold their oath. They do their job.
But when you saw Americans were in danger, you did go.
I did feel my own personal calling. I remember the night clearly, and my wife, I remember she was, the family was probably put into a bit of a panic or a frenzy, because I didn't know what was going on. I just felt a calling in my house, and I'm packing my stuff, and I didn't, initially I was going up there for Skylar Barbeau, the Marine jailed up there in Washington. Once again, Second Amendment, it doesn't say you can own a rifle with a barrel this long, not a barrel this long. It
Right.
says
It's the same thing they
shall
got
not infringe.
Randy Weaver for.
Exactly. And it took a lot of soul searching to do what we did. But finally sitting down and reading and learning it, and then that's when those words are going to echo for eternity. It doesn't matter how you stand. It doesn't matter how it ends. It matters how you stand. Lavoy Finicum. Again, a great man that it's unfortunate that his voice wasn't amplified until after his death.
He raised up a lot more voices, though.
He sure did, and people are waking up daily. I've gotten nothing but questions and stuff from people. Like they come in, and if I'm rocking the Constitution, this is a fashion statement now, and it's a good one. We need to keep it going.
Yeah, if the kids in middle school are carrying them in their pocket, it's definitely a fashion statement.
Yeah.
We're gonna.
Do you want to go back to the gun?
I'm sorry.
The gun fundraiser.
Yeah, we're gonna talk some more about the gun fundraiser.
Well, we're trying to find the right collector. It's a obvious piece of American history. There's a company called United Gun Group. They also run a social media that I know everybody's complaining about Facebook and Facebook jail and everything.
Right.
United Gun Group doesn't do that. They have no they don't oppress the press, if you will. So and it's kind of like Craigslist built in as well, like eBay and Craigslist. People can sell their guns on there, their ammo, their anything they got, and it doesn't just have to be guns, but they don't keep records. So if the FBI or anybody tries to come and subpoena them, and I've spoken with the CEO about this, Todd Underwood, and they don't have anything. They don't keep records of the
Okay.
stuff. So
Is this an actual auction? How are they doing this?
Yes, so it was set up as an
Let me
auction.
sit back over here where you can face again. I like sitting over there talking to you. It's a little bit more homey for me, but this is easier for everybody else because you're kind of facing the camera.
Right.
To see your
They wanna
handsome
see my
face
ugly
and-
mug? Come
Oh,
on.
it's a good looking mug.
The
There you go.
fashion statement, yes, it looks good on you.
Yeah.
Sad.
So Todd Underwood is the CEO of this site, United Gun Group, and it's set up as an auction. They are also the company that sold the George Zimmerman handgun. George Zimmerman took the life of Trayvon Martin. It's not a very honorable gun, in my opinion.
Very
It's like-
controversial.
yeah, controversial gun, but it's not very honorable, if you will. And but they sold that gun for $250,000.
Wow.
So I did some research and I hopped online and I wrote an email out to the CEO. And within an hour, I received a phone call and he said, "We want to sell your gun." I said, "Okay, well, what's the commission here? What do you?" And he said, I don't want anything from you, John. We just want the publicity of being the people that sold one of the refuge firearms. So the money out the gate, I first asked for Jeanette Finicum's blessing on the firearm because I wanted to have it memorialized. It's the one that I carried most of the time, and there's plenty of pictures of me carrying it next to, Lavoie, the man that made the ultimate sacrifice in this whole thing. And so I had it memorialized to him. I got her blessing to put his brand on it. I put "It Matters How You Stand" on the top as well. And then on the side it says "In loving memory of Lavoie Finicum." And it's been put in a case. It's going to come with a signed constitution in there.
Just a single gun, though, right?
Just the single,
Okay.
the single handgun. The AR-15 that's also been pictured and stuff, that will become available in the future. And so, but I absolutely promised Jeanette, whatever this goes for, half of the proceeds is going to your family for your fight for justice. I'm praying to God every day, just please, we want to see justice for Lavoie. And to get justice these days, unfortunately, it's not a cheap thing.
No, it's not, and that's pretty sad. The average person cannot just up and defend themselves anymore. You have to have permission to defend yourself. You have to have permission from the court as to your choice of attorney. You can't just say, "Well, I've hired this guy." They said, they have to approve it.
Right.
It's a lot of lost freedoms when the court has to approve everything you do to defend yourself.
And the other half of the funds will go towards the restitution for the rest of my co-defendants. I'm not looking to make a dime off of this thing. I really just want this nightmare to be done for all of us. I've spoken to other co-defendants about this, and it was a bit of a hassle too. I had to convince some of the guys to agree to this restitution amount. We had to take this agreement on the restitution. We were basically strong-armed. So initially, if the government was shooting for $1 million of restitution, okay, if our attorneys went in there and beat that up and beat it up down to get it down to even $400,000, it would make our attorneys look like rock stars. They would still be getting a pat on the back for doing a great job. But then me and my co-defendants would be tied down to $400,000 joint and inseverable. Meaning if one of them is unable to pay anything, it doesn't matter. We got to keep paying. Everybody keeps paying until it's paid off. It's not an even amount or anything like that.
Okay.
Now, with what we took, with the agreement that we took, it was able to get everybody separated, and the total comes out to like $98,000 or something like that. So
For everybody together,
everybody
collectively?
together, yes. Myself, Ryan Payne, Jason Patrick, we got $10,000 each. They considered us leaders. Then there was some that had like $7,000, some that had $5,000, some that had $3,000. all the people that either pled out or were found guilty. And so it was just, we had to do this, and now I'm just really, I told them all, we're in the belly of the beast. We need to get out of the belly of the beast. And to me, that's just, I'm trying to get out, and I want to bring all of them out with me. Like, no man left behind.
Right.
Right? So it's going to take a lot of work, but absolutely, I'm not ever going to stop campaigning to get the restitution paid off for all of my co-defendants as well, and end this for them.
Well, it's like our battle has just begun.
It always feels like it's just begun.
Well, that's the way we do things.
Far from over.
And until it's done, it's just begun. Mm-hmm. Do we have any more questions going in here?
I don't think that's so. A lot of praise. Rachel posted the link for the gun.
Jeff is in here.
Jeff's
Hi,
watching.
Jeff.
Hi, Jeff. Anything past the Bill of Rights technically is a fraud. Rachel, they said they can't get that link to work.
Okay.
You want to try it again?
Yes, ma'am.
Might be there, might be yours.
Is anybody here from Cynthia Prim on the upcoming auction fundraiser from American Standing for Liberty?
Yes, I believe it will start. They're asking that all the donations be sent in by the 17th. If you want to take a picture and send it to her, if you have anything that you want to auction off to help us.
Well, I'm not sure anybody's going to want it, but I'll donate a couple of Readout News shirts.
There you go.
All right, I want one.
Sharon, if we can get your signature on them, that'd be even greater.
Oh, absolutely, I'll do that. I'll get Brett to sign off on it as well, and
Okay,
we'll
the
see
link-
who else we can do.
The link did work for other people, so
Good.
just the
good.
one gal must have been having from.
Okay.
Ty Turner says you guys have inspired so many across the country, and I believe he thanked you earlier, and he's from Arkansas, I believe. Patriot from Arkansas loves you and thanks you for your stand.
Arkansas, they got Jan Morgan running for governor out there, if I'm not mistaken.
I heard that. I was so excited to hear that.
Yeah, I had been speaking with her prior to when she blew up, and so best of luck to her, and hopefully they get a good governor.
Well, that
out there.
brings up another issue. A couple of more issues, but we'll focus on this one. You were
Ohio.
going to run for office.
Yes,
Are you still?
I can't. No, I was going to run for office. I was collecting signatures. We were doing well. I had probably 250 to 300 signatures, so things were going really well. Then this bombshell came down, and I'm having to turn myself in early, and I just made the decision. I need to. I can't be out
That's
there.
too much to put on to Rachel.
I can't be out there knocking on doors and trying to get signatures. I needed to be here for them on these last final days. It doesn't mean that I won't throw my hat in the race again in the future. I know in my heart that I'm genuinely for the people, and I was looking forward to going to a debate with any of these
What was your
ladder-climbing
platform?
politicians. Oh, I mean, if I'm going to be just a downright constitutionalist, like I would love to see these three-letter agencies get, well, they're trying to disarm them and stuff, but they shouldn't exist. There doesn't need to be a BLM, a Bureau of Land Management. There should be an Arizona Bureau of Land Management, an Oregon Bureau of Land Management. Have it as the state. Why are we sending the money to the feds and then they send out way more than they're getting, creating this huge national debt? When a state becomes a state, it's a sovereign state. They applied for statehood, the equal footing doctrine. So it's very frustrating to see all this stuff, and it would just, I would genuinely just let the Constitution guide my every decision that I make. You can't go wrong. When you're doing that, you can't go wrong.
A couple of amens here on that.
Right. It's very simple. And I remember Ron Paul, I was a big fan of his, and one of the best lines, they went in and asked him, why do you vote no on every bill? Every bill that comes through, you always vote no on it. And his response, because I read it. And then you have, was it Nancy Pelosi, or they're saying, well, we got to pass this to find out what's in it.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That is not how this works. And so you know, I may throw my hat in the race again in the future.
Well, I know at the very least when you get out, let's sit down and have a roundtable discussion. We'll pick a couple of people that will make for some interesting discussions, and you know, we're going to hear more about your views at that point on running for office. How does that sound?
Sounds good. And I'm not even saying that I'm the best man for the job.
Everybody has to step up at some point.
Right.
Okay, I got to
I'm
tell
an
you,
option.
I ran for office at one point a few years ago. I ran for school board. It's an elected position, unpaid, very local. I got beat bad, but I did it. I did it because I thought it was important. And that's what everybody needs to do. There's probably 150, 200 elected positions in any county.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't realize that. And that's where they need to focus. You know, all politics are local. There's a reason we say that.
I just wanted to be that shockwave going.
You
into
were
DC.
great. I loved it.
It would have been phenomenal having somebody. He's getting ready to be a felon. He's going to prison. And I just tell him why. Why am I going to prison? Why am I going to be a felon? Because I went and stood for the people. I did what you guys are going to sit here and lie and to the people about. So
you are breaking up a lot of myths. You know, people look at anybody that is labeled felon and assume they're bad people.
Not the case.
And that is not the case, and that's what you're showing them.
Yeah.
You're a good man, even though you've got that label behind you now.
And I've got a lot of friends that unfortunately have that label, that are guys in their 50s and 60s that made a mistake when they were 18 or something. And they're human beings. We all have rights, okay? They go in, they do their time, and they should be able to get on with life. I know there's a lot of people out there that have a tough time, or that they want to crack down on felons or anything like that, but I met some great people behind bars. I really did. And I tell you what, if anything did kick off, that's where I would go straight there and try to free these guys. Because those are the doers. I met a lot of doers behind bars. Unfortunately, they just got caught.
Yeah. Well, we're going to try and bring light to the constitutional violations that are putting a lot of these men behind bars and see if we can't correct some of what's going on in our country right now. Everybody on board with that in the chat room? Got any questions?
We need judicial reform.
So
Yes,
many
we do.
So many are there with no victim, crimes with no victim.
Right.
They don't belong there.
Yeah, I have a real problem with that.
Yeah.
The government entity calls themselves a victim, and they can get up on the stand and cry. Oh, I'm sorry. I can't go there today.
Another thing I really want to push, again, it was my lack of faith in the judicial system that was leading my decisions to plead out and what have you. We've got to stop this left versus right bickering and genuinely pursue unity. Okay, people want to talk trash about liberals and everything, and then the right want to, the left wants to bash us and call us fascists and everything. We've got to stop that. There was a handful of liberal people in Oregon that said not guilty for some of my now dearest best friends.
That's right.
And so they were competent enough to see through this, and they genuinely united. We were a united people. And so they were able to get a victory through that. I have no problem going and standing and doing what's needed on the Patriot forefront if I can count on my fellow people, we the people, in that courtroom to be competent enough to say not guilty, to go out and do some homework. What is jury nullification? Okay? Jury nullification, I don't believe, is what took place in Oregon, because jury nullification usually results in a hung jury. It's one or two jurors that are competent enough to see through what's going on, and they say not guilty to hang it. Meanwhile, the rest of them, they're going to be bullied by the judge and scared and intimidated by the judge's orders. And so jury nullification is an extremely important thing, and we the people have confidence that we're going to be okay in the courtroom, like they were, then that's the way the founders put it, so that we would be the last pillar. It would be we the people have the last final say-so. And, you know, look, Rosa Parks, for example, she broke the law. She sat in the front of the bus. That was the law at that time, okay? But, and I've told people that I'm no different than Rosa Parks. I just got to sit in front of the bus longer because I had a gun on my hip, right?
That's a great analogy. It really is.
It is, and but she said it's wrong, and she stood. She stood her ground, and great things came about it. It made our country a greater place today because of it. And so I believe, you know, we may not be seeing all the greatness that's going to come from this right now in this immediate moment, but it's coming. And we're not going to rest until it does come.
We've got a couple older men on here that just said they want to be as good a man as you when they grow up. They're older than you. Thanks for standing up for all true Americans. And Pete Santilli wants to know if you will be able to call co-defendants when you're in.
Once I'm in, I will be able to have contact with co-defendants. I have more freedom of speech and more rights once I'm turned in.
Really?
Yes, but right now the restrictions, that's why a big part of me, you know, I'm actually kind of looking forward to going in because it's tough living under these oppressive rules and pointless
But once you
rules.
come back out, you're going to be back under those rules, aren't you?
No,
Really?
no, not unless I do something that would justify them giving me some sort of a rule like that. That we have these people of a minimum wage caliber that are put in a position of power over us, and it's extremely frustrating. Well, you can't post on Facebook. Why? Give me a genuine, justifiable reason why I can't. Just tell me why. You're afraid of my voice? That doesn't work. A lot of the pretrial officers up there in Oregon were political prisoners, and they were clearly on the opposite end of the political spectrum from myself, and that's why they just wanted to inflict as much pain, and how can we make his life as miserable as possible?
Okay, and I have to clarify, that question was from Deb Jordan. Hi, everyone.
Right, it was Deb Jordan. I'm not allowed to have contact with Pete. Definitely.
Yeah, not yet.
I can talk to Deb.
So sorry, they come through on the same feed, or under his name, but it's Deb that's on there.
Thank you for that disclaimer. Much needed. But what are they going to do? Send me to prison early?
You better report at 8 o'clock and not noon, right?
Hey, don't.
I know. Don't push it.
Go there.
Don't push
right?
it. Come on. Let me have some humor here. all right?
I know, but still.
Sorry, Deb. I messed that up.
Okay, are there any more questions in the chat room? How are we
I
doing
didn't
there?
see anything else come up. Rachel's been doing a good job of answering as they come up.
Oh, she's awesome, isn't
So,
she?
yeah. So,
What a team effort.
Rachel, be sure you keep your address up there. People do want to send you a check, even some of the people. So, can you do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Put your address out there or your PayPal, all of it. Okay.
We need Roger Roots and Larry Kleiman and that. We got to connect the dots between.
Well, I think you got Roger Roots. Is he even in there? Roger,
I haven't
are you
seen
in the room?
Roger. He's probably.
I think he just accepted my friend request.
Oh, good.
Well,
I can't thank them
I hope
enough
I
for all of
tagged
their
him.
effort.
I don't know if I did.
I
But
did.
he's very interested in what's happening. If there's a way he can help, he jumps right on there.
Yeah.
He's been, amazing in everything that he's been doing.
We got a fellow from Australia on here. Missed the start. He's going to watch it later. People from Ohio and Tennessee and Missouri all say hello and they love you.
Got a lot of supporters.
Appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you. You stood for us, like I said.
Well, you know what? We appreciate all you guys as well, because without you, we would be nothing. So,
Keeping the message alive. Did Steven give you his coat?
yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that princess.
It's you. You're going to be a mechanic here helping Steve, huh? You going to come turn wrenches?
The mechanic princess. I love that.
Oh, hi.
Love from Michigan and Alaska. They're all over.
Hi,
Outstanding.
everybody.
Are you guys still talking important stuff?
No, we're just enjoying your family now.
We're winding down and getting ready to wrap up. I'm just
Mount
making
Rushmore
sure.
in Texas.
I'm just waiting to see if there's a couple more questions, and then we're going to wrap it up.
Educate the masses nationwide by sharing. Everybody share it.
That's right.
And the truth shall set you free. Oregon, everybody.
We
Now, I'm
covered a
going
lot.
to
We
come
covered a
back
lot
over
tonight.
here and remind everybody of a couple
Iowa.
of things.
Okay.
Remember, tomorrow's the day that John turns himself in. He's going to be at Safford Prison. If you can make it, please do. We'd like to see some support there. If you cannot make it, stay tuned for another live stream. We're going to, it may not be as long as this one, and it may be a little bit teary-eyed, but we're gonna get her done. We're gonna do it.
This too shall pass.
This too shall pass.
Colorado's on.
Okay, and don't forget, we've got some fundraisers. We're gonna help Cynthia Prim with American Standing for Liberty and the fundraiser she's gearing up for. I will donate a couple of Readout News shirts. And you know what? I've actually got, I don't know if this is gonna, I'm not very politically correct.
Me neither. I don't know if you know this about me, but me neither.
I've got a Confederate flag I will donate. I know
Heritage,
it's
not hate. I said that.
That's right.
I was
That's right.
I was a big advocate for that when it was going on. And again, just makes you a target. You're easy to condemn, call a racist or anything like that.
well, I think we might even have another "Don't Tread on Me" flag, another Gadsden flag.
I got that
Yep.
tattooed on me right here.
There you go.
I don't tread on.
I'm
me.
gonna ask Brett how many flags we've got, and we will donate something on that as well.
Appreciate it.
They say they want to be sure and know the release date, Rachel, so if you'll keep everybody up on that. Patriot Mail Project is excellent, if people will follow that, for addresses, for commissary accounts.
How can they find it? Let's tell
On
everybody.
Facebook, Patriot Mail Project on Facebook. Go there
Do
and
they have a website as
you
well?
can join. I think it's just Facebook.
Just Facebook?
I think so.
Well, we'll find out. We'll get it posted out there and get it shared. Keep track of Readout News. We'll try and get all that information out on Readout
And
News.
for the auction, we don't know when that is. You have to follow American Standing for Liberty. Is that also on Facebook?
Yes.
Yes, it
Okay,
is.
that's also on Facebook. Somebody asked that, so. Okay,
Thank you all for everything that's been donated thus far and in the future. God bless everybody. I really appreciate this. And thank you guys for driving all the way down here and taking the time to come and see
Give me
me.
a hug.
we're happy to be here.
Appreciate it.
We are here for you, as much as we can be.
God bless you guys. My family really appreciates it.
Thank
Good
you,
night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye, everybody.
I got to give him that hug from Jeanette.
Yeah, hold on. We're going to give, before we close it off, we're going to,
Okay.
My hug from Jeanette.
that's from Jeanette.
Love her.
I'm a superhero. My shoe. I lost the shoe. I'm a superhero. Hi, guys. Bye.
Well, you come by that one honestly, because I think your daddy is too.
I'm a superhero. I'm flying.